So for that, I think Kajedo is worse, first of all, in culture. So a youth cannot present a case. Thank you.
Okay. For our group, we discussed about donor language. Most of us, we do not understand what the donor language is. For example, when they ask for, like when you're writing proposal, there's a systematic way that each donor requires when you ask for donation or any help that you want. We also lack youth representation in most donors offices. Like when we see like the office of the governor or the office of council of governors, we have a youth daisies around here, so we cannot be afraid to go to gonga mlango and ask for them, kindly can you listen to us as youth. We also have bureaucracy as that is also making it hard for most of us to ask for funding from the donors.
Okay, on our discussion for challenges of donors, we found out that some of the challenges are based on the decision making. It has been mentioned the shifting priorities. You may find that today the donor wants to fund gun violence among the youth or small arms and light weapons. Tomorrow it is climate change. Tomorrow it is water sanitation. So you as an organization, it can be hard for you to plan ahead or to know exactly or to implement your mandate or mission. Another issue is also has to deal with culture. You may find a donor sitting in New York City, wants to do disarmament in a region in Uganda where there's Karamoja. For those of you who don't know Karamoja, there are people who, it's a place where if you don't have a gun or a weapon, you're not considered a man. So good luck for you to disarm them. Also, you have some, as it has been mentioned, some geopolitical issues that has to do with the national circumstances. For example, there's a war in Ukraine between Russia and Ukraine. Now, Kenya gets some funding gets some donation from Russia. Then the Americans say, we are no longer funding you any aid. So we can bring some issues there. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you've mentioned most of the issues that I wanted to mention, including the fact that we have to align our agendas to those of the donors, even though maybe mine was very critical. Now I have to realign myself to fit that of the donor. And another one is that sometimes the interventions tend to be tokenistic in this way. The donor might only be supporting one day or a 1 week youth engagement workshop, and then that's it. But for me, coming from the county level, especially during this period where the new leadership is coming in, there has been the development of the CIDPs. I would be very interested to look at how the donor is supporting the county governments to anchor the youth peace and security agenda, for the next 5 years, so that it is very sustainable. Even if the donor takes off, it is within the county government plans and they're able to budget for it, and it is very sustainable. If not the CIDPs, maybe even the annual development plans or even the 10-year one, the 10-year plan, so that is very sustainable. So sometimes I find them very tokenistic. And then they also tend to stop at the national level, as I have said. How about, the county level? Yeah.
have some input?
Thank you. I think every it said what I have, because it depends on the interest which donor or our development partner has now. Because now geopolitical issues is some ways that we don't know. I think my colleague from Alexa, what he said, it is all because what their priorities now. Because if Kenya has a problem, it's its own problem, your own problem. It's not concerning them. But that sometimes they forget. If they get that our problem now is for Kenya, but tomorrow, with migration, with everything, we will get a problem. And don't also forget many problems sometimes from them. Sometimes, if you are speaking about climate change, and sometimes it's our education. What's about our education in Africa, for example? Because sometimes we are depending on their social media, and our children nowadays they don't have enough education to earn themselves their life, like our parents did when you are still with them now. Now, for this problem and issue, I think the state, they miss also, our state means planning. They can plan for our youth, our gender problems, and resolve the problem themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I can give Michael to respond. The chance.
Culture, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the way she has put it, and this is and that's why these avenues like this one will provide a good forum for such young ladies to actually explain the challenges that they face. Now, issues of culture are slight in our context as a country is a complex issue, and sometimes they take time. But through what we can call community engagement and also having what we call county-based resolutions. You see, counties have different dynamics. What you're facing here may not be necessarily the same that is being faced in Uasin or in Busia. So again, by highlighting that issue and bringing it on board, what I will urge you not to relent. You must sustain that particular, because it's important for the youth to be involved. In the 21st century, I don't see why in a meeting you should have a specific group that actually monopolizes the entire leadership. You can even find in some cases, and I wish the commissioner was here, mzee kijiji alikuwa hapo tangu sijui, I think the only person before, nobody, you can't change. It's like they're untouchables. It's important that we also transform with modern demands, and especially for the young people, because you can have more ideas that you can present that can even transform the lives of the people. And I think Kajiado, having singled out issues of culture, is becoming a major impediment, of course, which we are picking up, which we need also to advise that in Kajiado, then we must have county-specific interventions to ensure that we encourage more youth, and especially women. I'm sure women are even more marginalized. And that's why I was saying the way we look at the gender, because these issues are also gendered, and females seem to be extremely hard-hit in terms of being able to, and that's why they are now extremely vulnerable. The way I was saying, now a young girl gets pregnant, she becomes an outcast, even nobody wants to talk to her. It's a major challenge. We must face the reality, and that is why I like the practical way in which we are proving these things. Of course, the roadmap we'll come up with will also be able to advise on county-specific interventions that can enhance youth engagement so that we are able to improve on our governance. Because we still have, you are the highest number. The youth, you know, that is a fact that people don't want to realize. Hata wazee wale unasema wanakaa kwa kijiji, which percentage do they have in that Kajiado County? If you look at the number of 35 years and below, over than 70. in reality, anybody who will tell you this is a group you cannot ignore. Therefore, we must have intervention, and I think this meeting will be able to come up with good roadmap. And this is a case study for the entire country and even the region, because I believe whatever we are discussing is also a replica in Uganda, in Rwanda, and most of our African countries. Culture is a major impediment, but we must move beyond culture, because even FGM used to be a major challenge. I was told in Korea, if you are a lady and you never underwent FGM, you cannot be given a seat. In some cultures, if you're men and you're not circumcised, for example, they will not tell you, like you can see we are now overpowering those negative and primitive cultures, looking forward to a sustainable community where all are inclusive, despite of the cultural differences. So I think we are on the right track. Such sensitization is key, so that we tell our people, and we continue using the social media, using the government officers who are there, young people like you who have gone to school. We must sustain the talk. Never giving up, never giving in. Thank you.
What a beautiful discussion. Thank you for your participation. I want to bring in Ken this moment to take us through the program of the afternoon. Welcome, Ken.
If you have people like Florence, then your work becomes very easy. You know, I've been doing what we call water harvesting, but not really water harvesting, but harvesting what we have just done. I've harvested. Apparently, as we speak, most of the people who are to do the afternoon session are having meetings. The ambassador of Japan is in for a meeting. The UN Habitat is actually the one in charge of the African office. Went for a mission in New York, so she's the one sitting in, the lady. And then UNDP, I can assure you, the talk is New York. If you're in UNDP and you're not talking about New York, the UNGA, the UN General Assembly, then you're not part of the UNC system. That is why you can see most of the member states, people have gone to New York. And I will share this based on what I've done for the last, can I say 20 years? Yes. Dealing with donors. Now some people are surprised that you are trying to calculate my age. I am above 40. I'm no longer a youth. that is the caveat I must give. Yeah? I'm above 40 years. I'm almost reaching that maybe 4th floor, room 4, room 5, you start, or room 3 around there. So that is where I am. One, and I like what Alvito gave us on agenda. Whose agenda? When you respond to this question, whose agenda, then you will know whether when you are seated in the meeting room, you are part of the meeting room, or you are part of the decision making. You know, people sit in Paris, people sit in Brussels, people sit in New York, people sit in Washington, and they just say, you know what, how do we get information from these Africans? Eh? Where can we get professors, institutions of higher learning? Eh? We have some $2 million to do research in Uganda, in Kenya, and in Tanzania. And because we are all Africans, our professors are also paid very poorly, and that money is coming. They will say, no, we are ready to do the research. They conduct the research. Who gets the information? Somebody mentioned, and I think it was Mr. Michael who said that even in your own study, you have studied to a particular level. How many African professors have you quoted? Are you seeing where we are? Or even Kenyans. Let's now talk about Kenyans. How many Kenyan professors have you referred in your study work? Eh? that is where the agenda begins. And I like when, Alvito, you just hit it on the, whose agenda are we promoting? And that is why you find it's very difficult for us as, let me even say, as a country, to have one agenda. It's very true. You go to Burundi, it's the same thing. Major General will tell you, in fact, it's more challenging. Some are trying to adjust to the presidency of Ndayishimiye. So, when you're used to the status quo, it's like here, people who are used to President Uhuru, who was not so much hands-on, and Michael, you know this. But now there's this guy who is too much hands-on. Like when you go there, you must have your facts, right? But now Uhuru just, like, I remember one time when you're asking about, asking for $5.7 million US, and it was just taken to cabinet, and the money just came. But if I ask for Ruto $5.7 million US, you give me questions. How? Where are you going to use it? What is the impact on the, those are the kind of things. So the agenda is always very important. And having your own agenda is more important than being dictated. Because you want money to look like you're doing something. You know what I mean? There is no ownership. There is no sustainability. You actually don't own what you're doing. You're only placing the master who is sitting in Washington, or who is sitting in Paris, or who is sitting at The Hague, that at least you're able to do his assignment. For you to have some money to pay rent, buy food, go for, tours, local community. Just the way Alvito said. Somebody sits in Paris, or he sits in London, but he knows more Kibera than you who lives in Kibera, and he wants to tell you that this should be done. And because the money is coming, you say, who doesn't want money? And that is why it comes for a very short time. And you can be sure, Major General, they have a lot of challenges, especially at the Rexa level. When you are dealing with arms, is another, let me not say it. These guys don't make arms, But if you listen to Major General, he said, 1 billion people in the world have illicit arms. Illicit means they're not meant to be having them. But now, who is making the arms? Does Kenya make arms? Does Burundi make arms? Does South Sudan make arms? No. So whose agenda is it? Then when you ask yourself, how comes our conflict is more of, some development partners have projected our conflict in a way that this conflict should take 5 years first for the conflict to be there. But as you sort out the conflict, remember there is another one coming in. Who saw what happened in Sudan? From nowhere. You go to Khartoum, my friend. Khartoum is not the same Khartoum we will go and eat, Nyama and what have you, all those places in Khartoum. They are no longer, they are refugees. Most of them. You want to think that these two guys who are fighting, they are fighting because of African identity. You want to tell me that they are fighting because of African identity? We just must reorient ourselves a bit and say, what is it that we want? Because at the end of the day, when you are brought for food and you're just eating everything, be very careful. You can also have repercussions. Stomach starts complaining. Anything that comes, you just want. Anything, no. You must say, no, this one? No, let me not take it. But Africans, when you are given money, what do you say? Asante sana. Thank you so much. even when it's LGBTQ money to just thrash our culture and religion. Eh? Why PS project sustainability? This issue of decolonization. Why I've strategically, like, I'm working with the local partners who understand the problem, the accords, the acts, is because we want sustainability of this project. And it can only be sustained when the state is involved. And how can the state be involved? You must build a case so that I can go and sit with Michael and Ambassador Monica and ask Ambassador Monica, how much have you spent for firefighting? Huh? Or ask the IG and the military top head. So how much have you spent for firefighting? You know, that means like quelling. Then they will tell you that, oh, these 2 months alone, we spent $10 million US. Like I tell you, anytime you see a UN peacekeeping mission in any country, they are spending at least $900 million US per year. $900 million US per year. Anytime you see a UN peacekeeping mission. And in Africa, we have 6 UN peacekeeping missions. 4 of them are in the Great Lakes region. Sudan, South Sudan, DRC, and Central African Republic. DRC has had the hugest continent of peacekeepers in MONUSCO. What is happening? Do you think we can end this problem? Or who are the beneficiaries? You know, when you start interrogating those things, then you will start realizing, what is my agenda in this? And at times, if you are too smart, they will call you in Europe, brainwash you, ask you, Major General, where do your kids go to school? You say, oh, you know, they're in Burundi University. They say, no, we are giving you scholarship for all your children, and we are giving you a house here in London, you know, let your kids stay here, visa, come and stay, you know. Then you are told, but don't talk about this other thing. And the Major General says, now that my kids are enjoying, what is the big issue? And that is what I wanted. And these are the leaders we have. So where are we? Eh? We are lost. This issue of sustainability can only come through the state. And Daisy mentioned it. It must be within the CIDP at county level. Because if you don't make it a CIDP thing at county level, you know, these people have a way of just coiling around and say, you know, this is national government. That is now the easy language. If you want to run away from the problem, you just say this is a national, security, that is national government. So that they are left to do what can be done. Eh? And that is why even they find problems when they go to donors, and donors tell them, you are asking for this money. No, we are working with the national government, and I think you're also part of the government. Those are donors now for you. On geopolitical divisions, in fact, this is the worst thing. Are you a master of Paris club? Are you a master of Moscow? Are you Washington-based? Are you Beijing a bit? The kind of beating you get from these other guys, you'll be shocked. That is why you find that when Museveni passed the law, and we are using the Chatham House rule here, on the LGBTQ, most of the partners pulled out the funding. Yeah. They just pulled out the funding, and they say, no, you cannot do this. Then Museveni said, you guys can stay with your money. Let's eat our matoke. We shall not die, and we have not been dying. So those are some of the challenges. Who are you supporting? So even when you're approaching a partner, you must look at keenly, do a research, and say, what does this partner do? You see, if I'm a health doctor, and you brought to me a very good poverty alleviation program. Very well done, scientifically researched. I will take the proposal, but I'll not be of help to you. And I might not even respond to it, because I'll just say this is waste of time. So look at what these people, or the partners, development partners, stand for. Because if you don't do that research, then you have also lost it. You find, like in a room like this, you have, we're about 25, 26. We are all writing one proposal to the Embassy of Finland, because Finland now is the global champion for youth peace and security. And you are telling them, please support youth peace and security. Even if I'm the ambassador, honestly, how do I save these 25 proposals from the same community? And that is why we say you must be strategic. Sit down, say, how are we going to do this? Huh? As a coalition, as a team, so that you're more strategic. When you bring your issues, you bring issues based on like a whole coalition, actors, but not individual. And now, there's now a new shift, because these guys also have what you call refugees. Initially the refugees were not there. Now they're telling you that, you know what, Russia and Ukraine are fighting. So most of the funding is supporting the refugees from Ukraine. And a lot of funding has been cut, actually, for African programs. I know of colleagues who have had to, like, their contracts have just ended because they're told, there is no funds, so what do you do? So you have to go home. National interests. For me, Africans, do we really have any national interest, to be honest? We are now talking as colleagues. Do we have any national interest when a donor comes? Eh? Do we have any national interest? Eh? You're like, no. You know what, guys? This money you're not going to take it because of national interest. Working around you. If you want to access Ken very quickly, talk to Flo or talk to Faith. Are you seeing? So Faith will be packaged for almost 2 months. Invitation come, even the donor, the letter states that Faith was in the previous meeting, so she should be the one coming. And that is what donors do very well. So Faith keeps on going. So one time he says, you know what, these guys have decided to give us $1 million. Ken, who is the African, say, in fact, we have been doing very poorly for the last 2 months. Let this money come. But when the money comes in, 2/3 of the money is used to pay the expatriates. 2/3 of $1 million is going back to the expat. So you are running around with Arthur. And when they do the accounting, how you spend the money, what have you, you have to account for how you spend that 1 million, including the expatriates. Those are some of the challenges that we go through. Governance structure. This governance structure is just something. Huh? Oh, they will tell you, how much money have you ever handled? What is can we see your financial policy, Then you're just an organization which is starting. Yeah? So how do you get this? for European Union. So you are who, Michelle? Rachel. So they got Rachel, who did that proposal for European Union, and sat with her in South Africa and said, Rachel, please guide us on this and give us direction. Rachel gave them all the things that she did for European Union, yeah? So when they went to meet the partners, they said, oh my God, you missed out on some of these key issues that are very important. So, Vasu was very mad. And he said, you guys, you don't know who you are talking to. Do you know who did for you this strategy? It's the same person who did for us this strategy. Now those are donors for you, but they look like they are your friend. Your friends. So those are some of the challenges that you might encounter, but you don't see them, but they are real. Then, of course, there is global financial stability. You know very well, all our countries are going through a little bit of challenges, especially after COVID, we have a lot of what you call budget cuts, and one of the things that I like that President Ruto is doing, as much as people might not like it, is the issue of having your own thing. Have some of your own money. When you have some of your own money, people respect you. But when donors know, like, you have to beg. In fact, I will not tell you where I was, and they were discussing about Africa. And they say, I think now this country, we need to project them for 15 years to just give them support. It's not really support, but put them into what you call a dead burden. And they do that very well. So, if you don't have money and the World Bank comes and say, we want to support you on this, you will just say, please bring in the money. So what President Ruto is exactly doing is like, you guys, we have borrowed enough. We have borrowed. Let's a little bit sleep hungry. We shall not die by sleeping hungry. But after 2 years or 3 years, start saying, you know what, we can have some of our own cash. And say, guys, now we don't need your money. And believe me, anybody who sits in those Bretton Woods institutions, they don't like that idea. Yeah. And that is why you can see everybody wants to come to Kenya. But we must also question, why is everybody coming to Nairobi? We must question. Why is everybody coming to Nairobi? Is it that Kenya is too good? Why not Uganda? Why not Ethiopia? They can also come to confuse your agenda and make you very busy. Every week there is a head of state who is coming. They have very good. I'm sharing to you this because I've had the opportunity to. This global stability is for all of us. But, if you want to know that you are poor, you will see the number of friends that you have. But have some money with you. Just have some money with you. You don't choose your friends when you have money. They come to you. Is it not so? They come to you. It's like I was telling, last week I was teaching a class at the cadets, Ministry of Foreign Affairs cadets at the Kenya School of Government. And I told them, we have 54 heads of states lining up in Beijing to one person. And everybody's kneeling down. Kenya, how much do you need? I need 200 million. Burundi, how much do you need? I need 100 million. Uganda, how much do you need? I need 10 million. And the Chinese say, okay, Kenya, you need 200 million. Chinese population about 1.6 billion plus. Out of 1.6 billion, 1.3 are using phones. 1.3 are using, let's say, Safaricom here. So Safaricom, making a call is 4 shillings. Yeah? So 4 shillings times 1.3 is how many billion? 4 shillings times 1.3 is how many billion? Huh? So in 1 minute, huh, 4.2 billion has already been created by the Chinese talking to get money for Kenya, because telecom in China is controlled by the state. So they say Kenya needs 200 million. Let's give them how many hours? From 8 in the morning to around 10. Kenya, you have your money. Honestly. And that is why when you see President Ruto say, you know, we go into these meetings and we are all pushed into a bus and we don't look like we are heads of state. You know, Africans, they say these Africans, they cannot control their own. How? And you're a head of state. You're going to kneel before Jinping and say, okay, Angola, how much do you need? And that is why Chinese are everywhere. I was in Tanzania last month, presenting on the BRI, that is Belt and Road Initiative. 10 years for the Belt and Road Initiative. Now they're even bringing the solar belt. Solar belt. That is solar all over Africa. 52 out of 54 African Union member states are on the Belt and Road Initiative. Yes, you are not believing. 52 out of 54 have signed the Belt and Road Initiative. But what is the long-term implication? Our SGR here, you know the story about it. You know, infrastructure is good, but we must also go when we are ready. You know, you don't just say, okay, China is coming to give us, but then I remember one time was a very senior American, you people, do you know these Chinese? It's okay. This is peace and security state-led. Now, this is how you come in. As much as peace and security is state-led, and is actually a state function, and that is why our first discussion was the role of the state on youth peace and security, is how do we change the mentality and focus on the software as young people. The hardware, leave it for the military and the police. They are here. Let them go and fight in the forest. Let them buy the arms. Because that is when Russia says, okay, Burundi, we want to bring you more arms. To kill who? Africans, what do you have that you need a gun? Okay, what do you have that you need to protect yourself with a gun? To be honest. Like you want to protect yourself with a gun? Land. To protect you with a gun. My friend. So, this one is where we really fall, and that is why you can see Michael is here because of the office of the advisor, presidential advisor. We really need them to, like, let's rethink. How do we bring the youth on board, but bring them on a proper way, not the way when you see police. I'm sure when some of you saw police officers today, you're like, now, what the hell is this? These are human beings, huh? They are brothers, they are sisters. They are protecting us. But now when you start looking at them like, you know what? Our askari ni nini, our makarao ni nini hapa, kwani you see, sir, if you suspect yourself ulikuwa umefanya makosa kidogo unasema I'm the one being targeted. No. These are brothers and sisters. On the issue of cultural differences, Mike has said it was asked by Madame Naomi. I will not dwell on it. And then conditions. Anytime you get donor money, it's not free lunch. It's not. My friend, the conditions that you know is not what the donor has. Those ones that you know are the ones you know. But behind that condition is beyond what you know. So these conditions, they will always be there. And they're always used to push the African backwards. You know? We can't, and you give up. Huh? You know, we are very good at saying, that thing, why is it disturbing us? Just forget about it. And you move on. Because if you try once, and you don't get, you try twice, you don't get, what do? Unaachana nayo. Wakenya wanakuambia jipatie shughuli. Then, donor language. You all understand this donor in a language they understand. So your language here is not their language. And this donor language is not just language, it means so many things. Can we bring Major General to be the expatriate for 3 years? Given you money, but 3 years, he has to be with you. And he is taking home the highest check. Lack of youth representatives. You know, anytime you say lack, what does it mean? There are no youth. That is the meaning of lack. There are no you. You see, when the language here is the language here is not very convincing. Lack means hakuna. So the youth are not there. So how do we enhance youth participation? And I listened to SEC. She said it. You call for meetings, the people who come to those barazas are kina mama. And those again who come to those meetings, the way Michael said, are those wazee who have been there for the last 20 years. These wazee wa mtaa. Yes. My friend. You go to that meeting and you just find it boring. And you go once and you say, you achia, wazee na mama onge. And they're used to it. And Naomi says something that is very crucial. That the ones in education, that the ones in, it's a club. It's a club. But again, Naomi, you have to change the status quo. You can't just say, you know what, now that it has been like that, anyway, let me just leave it. It will still remain the same. You have to come in. They say, knock. Knock once, knock twice, knock thrice. Till when somebody says, no, let me handle this person. Knock once, knock twice, knock thrice. Let them get tired with you. But you see, when you get in, and that is my story. When I go to these to this summit gatherings of heads of states, I was very calm, whatever, but I had to learn for like almost 7 years. I have to understand the language. Let me now use the donor language. I have to understand the language of heads of states. What do they talk? What they don't want to hear? I'm learning. Now, after learning, you meet Nkurunziza, the late president, and you say, but President, we need something like this. How do you see? Then he tells you, I think, Ken, that's a very good idea. In fact, raise it in the meeting. When you are seated, I will support you. Then I go to Kikwete, President Kikwete. How is this? That when he was then president. I remember one time I had to shift from Serena in Kampala to go to Munyonyo because Kikwete was in Munyonyo, so I had to change base just to go and be there to meet him. It requires a lot of strategy. But it also requires, are you trusted? It's about trust. Even in the peace and security, Major General will tell you, it's about trust. Ama namna gani, Michael? Who is this Kennedy? Why is he talking about youth, peace and security? If today Flo woke up and say he's talking about youth, peace and security, it will be like, who is this Flo? Are you not seeing? I've built my trust for the last how many years? 15 years. If I land in Uganda today, it is easier for me to meet Museveni because I've built trust. I've built trust. So, if you don't build trust, you've come in my organization, you have just moved in a new organization and people don't really know you very well. And you want to change everything, you are likely to get resistance. And there are those who come and say, you know what, I have now triple masters, I'm the most learned in this institution, so guys, you have to listen to me. This is a Major General. And no Major Generals, they never die till when God says die, They have the wherewithal, the knowledge, practical knowledge. But you who is just the one who has left, university and you have your triple masters and you're telling, these old people should go home. And Major General is listening to you. And you're the one who is coming tomorrow to say, Major General, please support me in this. Do you think he's going to support you? He can't. He can't. Because one, you disrespected him. And that is how at times I can do the comparison between women, peace and security and youth, peace and security. When we started the initiative on women, peace and security, people said, oh, women, peace and security. No, these are women issues. So anything that comes, even if it's a Major General's the one to make a decision, he say, who is the lady here? Let her go. Eh? But now the women are realizing that we need the men on board. Too late. Resolution 1325 came into force in 2000, October. Actually, next month we're celebrating Resolution 1325. Is it 23 years? Yeah? Resolution 2250 came into force 2015, December 9. We shall be celebrating how many years? 8 years in December. But again, the youth say, nothing for youth without, you hear, nothing for youth without youth. And Major General is the Minister of Youth, eh? He's not a youth, eh? And he's the person you have called and you're saying, nothing for youth without the youth. And you people expect to be funded. Let me give you a simple example. When President Museveni, through the National Youth Council, and I'm sharing to you this in confidence, President Museveni will give like they will be given a budget of 1 million for 5 years. Are you getting the joke? Spend 200 million to do structures that support the system. Then after that, in terms of implementation, what happens? There is no money for implementation. You're given $1 million for fire. And that is the Africa we live in. Yeah? Bureaucracy. Bureaucracy was not created by Africans. Huh? Do we agree or not? Huh? We agree. This thing called bureaucracy, you know, you will go, Major General will tell you that he will go to his grandfather and he just gets into the banana farm and he takes banana without any problem. Right now, if Major General goes to even his brother's farm and cuts that banana, the brother takes him to court because the brother wants him to come and request, please support me in this. Is the bureaucracy even at our own village level? It's not just about bureaucracy in government. Even at our own home, you say, for you to come and visit me, send an appointment. Where I come from, in western part of Kenya, we don't have any appointment. When you put food on the table, you know, you just, when you get from that door, just start eating. We shall meet in the middle, and then I say, oh, Naomi, you mean you had come in, you know? Because we will make ugali this size. And it depends with where you are attacking from. So by the time you are getting in the middle, I say, oh, Naomi, you had joined. Nowadays, it's not there. You know? It's capitalism. Everybody for himself. Decision making and shifting priorities. You know, decision making is about leadership. And Youth, Peace and Security talks about involvement of young people in decision making. And I liked what Alberto said. And Alberto, please, I will kindly request what you said on participation and inclusion. If you'll just send to me on WhatsApp, I really like that, what you said, to understand it more. Participation and inclusion. Please, you'll do it for me on WhatsApp. So that is my takeaway from this meeting today. It was very good. So you find that if you get the right leaders, who are visionary, they will take you far. But if you get the leaders who have been brought to you by the Western mafias, You know what I mean? Like they are controlled by Western mafias. Huh? My friend, you can never grow. And that is why at times when I see President Ruto say, you know what, hata kama ni mbaya wache ikue mba, but this is it. When he's talking about, you know, carbon tax in the African Climate Change Summit, and it's not a very good, you know, debate for most of these partners. To me, it is something because you must stand up, you know, you must stand up. Then there's tokenistic. I think this again we have addressed on the issue of CADP that my dear Daisy brought up, and of course having a long-term plan. Japan has a plan to support Africa for 100 years. For 100? What does that tell you? I keep teasing people. I want you to imagine that you are the Japanese. You are the Kenyan, I mean now you are the Japanese. And the Japanese sends 5 million to buy a vehicle. Huh? Are you getting the joke? I want you being a Kenyan. Can you be trusted? Can you be trusted? Like a Japanese has sent 5 million for you to export a vehicle to him. You know, we send money, importing vehicles, and they bring the vehicle. But I want you to imagine the other way. Like they're the ones sending money to you. And that is where we are in terms of trust. Because you see now, if you can't trust yourself at that level, my friend, how do you run a country? National level, she talked about it. The donors will tell you, this is a national project. We're already working with the national government. So county government, please, we're already with the national. You know, it's normal. Thank you so much for making my presentation this afternoon very easy, and thanks for ensuring that we harvested so much. God bless you. I end my presentation.